Everyone, Madison here with Health by Ratio, and in this video, we're going to talk about how to reteach the body how to walk and or run correctly again. And we're going to break this down at the feet and how they're angled as well as where they're positioned relative to the hip, because makes all the difference in the world in how our body stabilizes everything from impacts to the foot itself, like the plantar fascia line, the ankle and the stability of that, the knees, especially the knees and the connective tissues around it, our hips, our SI joint alignment, our lower back health, and all the way up to the neck. Really, everything with our gait starts from the ground up. So that's what I want to break down in this video. And we're going to talk about the most common things that my team and I, of licensed physical therapists, corrective exercise specialists, and orthopedic movement specialists, work with our clients online with in terms of correcting their gait back to balance and keeping their body and their joints and their tissues healthy so they can enjoy the active lives that they love. So one of one of the two main things that we focus on most common with our clients is the positioning of their foot, what direction it's actually angled as we are striding through. In an ideal world, whether we are walking or running for that matter, we want the feet to be straight as we're moving. Or if we're running, we want the feet to be straight as we are running away. And that keeps it allows our calves to and like the gastrocnemius and the soleus to fire correctly and propel us forward, and we're not having to put so much strain on some of the lateral components of the ankle. It allows us to get better recruitment of the glute maximus, our big powerful butt muscle, and allows us to start activating our core and, like I said, propel us straight forward. The other aspect that we really want to make sure is that we want to be keeping our feet in alignment with each hip as opposed to on a tightrope where we're hitting midline to our body. And this is really, really common for many of us to turn the foot out as well as touch either the heel or the entire foot down on the midline of the body. That's why I'm standing outside in beautiful sunny California in February. It's sunny degrees out. It's a little bit windy, but I can't complain too much. And if you're jealous right now because you're sitting in the cold winter, you probably should be. So I'm here to rub it in. Anyway, I'm shooting this right here because I have this nice line right down my driveway. And you can see that if I'm straddling this in an ideal world as I'm walking or running, I want to be able to keep my feet in line with each hip so that I am having some really good glute activation at the glute medius, like the outside butt, which connects to my stabilizers in my core to keep my hips level, to keep my knees in a happy place, to keep even my ankles and feet structurally sound. And obviously the neck that sits on top of all that is going to be in a happy place as well. But many of us might do this to one side or the other. We will tend to turn a foot out, and maybe both, to the side as we walk, and we'll shift that ankle, or that heel, I should say, and or the whole foot so that it's landing on a tightrope. And if we're walking, this would sometimes create more ankle pronation. So we're creating more pull on that plantar fascia line. We might be putting that knee in a compromised position as it's rolling inward. We could be seeing a bigger hip drop to one side where we're impacting the SI joint or the lower back health, all the above. If we're running, this kind of impacts all of those things that I just mentioned, and then some, because obviously running is a more intense activity. It also can create some weird imbalances if you've ever noticed that, or someone's pointed out to you, because it's something that often you would see from behind. If you circumduct your foot, so if you have a tendency to kind of whip your leg out in front of you, that's because if you are landing on a tightrope, I can't stride my one leg straight through here. I'll kick myself. So what does my foot have to do? It has to whip around me and then come back to the tightrope and come back to the tightrope. Versus if I am keeping my feet in alignment with each hip, I can run straight forward, straight backwards, and I'm not doing any weird leg whips that put a ton of torque on the knees and the ankles and the hips and all that jazz. So the ways that we want to correct this is we can either literally straddle a line. We can do this along like a road, a sidewalk, down a track, but we want to center it down the body. And we're not going to allow our foot to touch that line as we walk. And we're going to try to keep the the foot pointed straight ahead by focusing on touching the center of the heel as we walk, as opposed to landing on that outside edge of the heel as we walk with that foot turned out. So we want to feel that dead center point. Now, if you tend to do this while running, like if you're trying to correct your running and your foot's turned out when you're running and you're landing on the midline, start with correcting your walking gait. Because I guarantee if you do this while running, you're doing this while you're walking, just maybe a little less exaggerated. So focus on this first walking, and then when you run, you want to implement that same thing. You're trying to keep the feet on either side of that line. Just the difference is we're not necessarily heel striking with each time. We're kind of landing on the mid ball of the foot type thing, but we want to be pushing off in alignment with that hip so that we get great glute and core activation to stabilize really the whole body from head to toe. This, guys, is how we've had some of our clients almost instantaneously, like when they work on the right mobility work that prevents their hips or their ankles from actually doing those motions because their own body's tightnesses are kind of pulling them in that direction. And when they work on some key glute and core exercises that kind of work on the harmony of how they fire together when they walk, just by implementing this drill, this is something that within just a matter of weeks, people go from feeling like they're walking completely out of balance, that they're tweaking their weak links in their chain, they're re-aggravating an injury, blah, 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 to being able to hike and walk for like half an hour, hour plus. Like we have countless clients that go through this corrective process, and this alone with just the foot alignment and where the foot is actually striking the ground makes all the difference in the world, and it makes you a more efficient walker and or runner. So because you're using your muscle groups the correct way, so it's actually propelling you in the direction you want, versus when we're here and we're dropping a hip or we're circumducting a leg, we're wasting energy bit by bit with each of those strides, and we're not as efficient. So we're going to get tired faster. The muscles aren't going to fire as well. We're not getting our big butt muscle to be propelling us in the direction we want. So it goes a long way in terms of not just rehabilitating what we're dealing with in terms of an injury, but even better, it makes us better at the fitness and or athletic activity that we enjoy the most. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to type below. Always check in to help give any feedback, and or if you want some help with understanding why your body is doing what it's doing. If this feels really weird, if you don't know how to correct this thing, if every time you try to focus, you keep moving back to the midline or keep turning out your feet, we'd love to give you some free coaching. Click the link below. You'll see our calendar where you can schedule a free consultation call with my team where we will get to know you better in terms of what your goals are and what you've been through, and then more importantly, set you up with a follow-up call that's also free, but over video, where we're going to analyze how you're walking and how you're moving in all your fundamental daily habits, as well as ranges of motion to see how and why your body's doing what it's doing, so we can create a game plan for you on what you can do to get moving back to full range and stable motion. Outside of that, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy whatever weather you have in your local neck of the woods. Talk soon.